welcome to the Real Estate Show. We have another special guest with us today, but firstly let me introduce Wissam Karmuchi from Goldmark Real Estate, the Managing Director.
Good afternoon, Kieran. How are you?
Very well. And myself, Kieran Proven of Goldmark Real Estate, and our special guest today is actually our very own leasing manager here, Zoe Martin.
Hi.
How are you today?
Good, thank you.
Excellent. So Zoe, you look after a team of real estate brokers who handle the leasing side of our business in Dubai Land.
Yeah.
How is Dubai Land at the moment?
Yeah, it's really good. There's a lot of properties come on the market in new areas, and we've got a lot more interest from people that used to live in apartments that have moved over now because they can. The rent that they were paying, such as downtown and Marina, they can now get a villa in these areas.
Out of interest, what are those prices?
The cheapest one we have at the moment for a 3-bed townhouse is 90,000, but they still can go up to, 3-bed around 150, just depending on the area.
Okay, so it's a lot more accessible, you're saying, for those people who have been living in maybe the Marina, downtown, Palm Jumeirah, to move slightly further back, but have a piece of land, have a garden, into a villa for 90,000. Wow.
A lot of options for everyone now. So.
Okay. And what the difference as of today in the term of payments? Because I believe, and I remember if I'm talking about the villas, majority of the landlords where I was dealing with them in the previous, that all of them, they were quite insisting at the term of payments and number of the payments and the checks. So how you see that has been changed with those days?
Yeah, I mean, in the past year, definitely a lot of owners have opened up to accepting more checks. So now a lot of people accept 4 or even up to 12.
Up to 12.
Yeah,
checks.
whereas before it was just really one check.
Okay.
So obviously it's for a lot of people it's easier cash flow with the more checks.
And changing the method of payment from 1 check to 4 or 6 or 12 check, will that has impact anything at the rental value, or the rental still the same, or what's your point of view, or why you think that the landlord start accepting those number of checks these days? Is it the market, or it's or the supply, or it's this is the new practice in the market, or?
It's just really the market changes. So at the moment it is a tenant's market. So owners, the prices can go up slightly on some properties that more checks you pay, but it's just really down to the landlord. Sometimes you'll accept 12 checks at the same rental price as 1 check.
But I believe there is one villa in Spring, which one of the colleague here has a close at Kieran, right?
He did. Yeah, I think the market rent for the property was going to be around about 105,000.
Yeah.
The landlord eventually accepted that he will take 12 checks. Yeah. And the tenant agreed that for that facility of paying over 12 months, he would be happy to pay 120,000. So I guess it's if you're offering a facility to someone which isn't readily available in the market, then perhaps, yes, they might be in some cases able or willing to pay.
Yeah,
more.
I mean, it's not obviously a lot more, but it's easier cash flow for a tenant to do.
What kind of verification he need to make sure that this is the property, who's the owner?
So from the landlord, you need the title deed, which is the proof of ownership for the property, his passport, Emirates ID and visa if he's living in the country, or just passport if he lives outside the country. But yeah, you need these documents to make sure that he is the actual owner.
So you need the full document from the tenant, you need the full document from the landlord as well. Let's say that I have seen the property, we like it, we have said okay, agree, we're going ahead with the deal. What next step?
The next step is for the tenant to make an offer to the agent to then go to the landlord. If it gets agreed, then it's as simple as preparing a tenancy contract for both parties to read, to meet and sign and hand over the checks at the same time. Or there could be some negotiation between the offer, so that would be going to and from between the agent to the landlord and getting something agreed.
And for the tenant who's watching us or hearing us now, and what the most important things for them to see in the contract, from your experience, the most critical?
Like how much the rent is, how many checks you're paying in, make sure the property's cleaned, painted, things like this.
Yeah, maybe if there's any damages, these things are quite important. You know, maybe if there's
Exactly. Actually, see, the majority of the people, I believe, and I heard from a friend of mine that they dealt direct with the owner or direct with any one of our colleagues in the market. Actually, the difficulty with the majority they have faced up and vacating the property.
Yeah.
Then there's the dispute there. Then there's what the condition of the property being handed over and how the property condition being left. Okay, who is in charge of who? So I believe this is the most important. Well, of course, the entire tenant condition, and it's different from company to company. But I believe that the tenant who's looking at any one of those, or he's looking to his contract, he should make sure that to understand the responsibility and liability for the landlord or for his self regarding the maintenance. I think also the vacating, the process of vacating, and if there is any exit clause, there's a penalty clause, all the things.
Yeah.
I believe this is what I heard. Most of my friends, they face, not with every landlord.
Yeah.
Okay, they face difficulty. So for this specific point, what do you do as Zoe to avoid this, that there is a dispute up and vacating? What do you do from your end? Once you sign the contract, everything agreed, this condition there, then what you do? There is a next step, which is there any kind of, like, let's say, inspection form you do it, or move-in form?
Oh, okay, so when the property is handed over.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, so we do a handover. We have a documentation that basically lists everything in the property, and we go around with the tenant and landlord and mark everything down. There may be some things in the property that cannot be rectified, so then the tenant won't be held responsible throughout the tenancy. And
what in the term of the law, because I heard that if the tenant stays 3 years in the property and up and vacating, or 3 years or more, that he will not be liable for any maintenance work like a normal wear and tear, repainted the property. Is that really the
Yeah, I mean, there's a clause in the contracts that we do the same, subject to normal wear and tear. So if a tenant does stay in a property longer than 3 years and it's agreed with the landlord, then this is down to them to agree.
Okay.
On. Yeah.
Okay.
Very good, very good. I think it's not always an easy job to try and keep both your landlord and your tenant happy at the same time. Trying to keep two people with intentions to protect themselves isn't always an easy job. But having these documentations in place certainly goes a long way to making it a lot smoother.
True. Yeah. So after the tenant got his inspection and all okay, and he moved in, what the next, or before he moved in, you did the inspection, you did the handover. What the next step after that?
Before the handover, we need to make sure that the tenant has registered their Ijari, which basically protects their tenancy.
So Ijari is the system where you register your tenancy people contract. That you don't know what mean Ijari. Ijari is an Arabic word and means it's a system where that every tenant and landlord, they should register their tenancy contract. Is that right?
Yeah.
And how much that cost?
220 dirham, including that.
Okay.
Yeah, so once they've done that, then they can register their DIWA, so the water and electricity. And then, depending on the area they're living in, requires a move-in permit. You apply for all of that. Pardon?
From the developer.
From
right?
the developer, yeah. And then you hand the keys over and they live happily ever after.
And the system of Ijari and DIWA, that it can be done online, or you have to go to any appointed service offices?
Yeah, DIWA you can do online. Ijari is probably best to go to the Al Manara Centre.
Okay.
Just sometimes the system doesn't work online.
Okay.
So it's just easier.
Okay, and what document that they need to carry for them to do the Ijari?
So you need all the tenant's documents, so passport, visa, Emirates ID. Same for the landlord if they live in the country, or just passport, and the title deed, and then the original tenancy contract.
Okay.
And then that should be.
And then they go to DIWA and connect DIWA and they move in and everything.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Everything's perfect.
Very good, sir. Very good. So listen, as we said, you're going to have a busy year or two up and coming here in Dubai, and especially in Dubai land, and running your team. So all the best to you for the upcoming 12 months, 24 months in the future.
Yeah, you'll be very busy. You'll have a lot of villas coming up. So make sure that you increase the number of your team.
No problem.
Okay, exactly. Very good. Super speaking to you, Zoe.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much, Zoe. Thank you.
Bye.
Good afternoon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.